Welcome to the Nitpicking Nerds and another
Secret tech. Do not tell anybody about these super secret, colorless, underplayed, underrated cards.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, BZ, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. We've done a bunch of these secret tech videos so far. This is probably the last one for at least a while. Kind of covered everything. Not a ton that we want to get out there desperately. And we're not going to make content just for the sake of making something. So probably the last one in the series. Wrap it up in a neat little bow with colorless cards. The only thing we're doing is asking you to become a patron or join the Discord. It's your choice.
The only thing we're asking for is money.
Or your companionship.
Money.
What else? What are we doing?
Money. But also,
You don't sound enough like Stanley to make anyone have that connection.
they got it. They all understood my Office reference. Well, we're doing secret tech. That means no cards in the top page of VDH Rec for colorless cards. But let's be clear here. These numbers are much higher than you're used to because colorless cards can be in any deck, and therefore, if they can be in any deck, they're more likely to be in more decks. But that'll even out in the percentage, which all except for the last one, so we're not going to list percentages this video, all the first 10, and then there's an 11th. The first 10, all 1%ers. So they're all 1% of decks. We'll give you the exact number when we get there, but let's hop into it. What is the first one?
First one, Bag of Holding. 4,546 decks, and it's 30 cents. It's 1 mana for an artifact. If you would discard a card, it goes in the bag instead. Pay 2 tap, draw, then discard. Pay 4 tap, sack the bag. You bring all the stuff from the bag to your hand.
Yeah, so this is really good in any deck that's going to be looting a lot. Any deck that is going to be doing mass discard. If you play this into Awaken the Erstwhile and then you get all those cards back, that's huge card advantage.
That's cheating. The game's going to be over real soon.
I don't know if that's cheating per se, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. It is very strong in the discard decks or the looting decks. It's just a nice way to get card advantage in red, actually, because they have a lot of those discard effects, draw cards.
If you have incidental discard stuff in like a Boros deck, and this isn't even crazy for you, I think I would still play it. I think it's slow, but worst case, this card is draw, discard, and then on like suspend 100. But it's a slow like card advantage. And if you're in a budget deck and you just have one laying around and you're Boros, you could play this.
Yeah, this card goes in more than 4,546 decks.
You should have been like, more than 4,536 decks. You know, it's like that retractable awning commercial where they never, I don't know if you guys have seen this commercial, but they've never re-recorded it. They just get someone to re-say the audio of how much it costs because the price keeps going up. So the guy will be like, you can get yours for only, and then over it, it's like $599, but he mouths like $399. You can see.
Yeah. Also, if you've heard those radio commercials where he's like, "Wow, the property brothers are coming to your town, yeah. Buffalo, New York,
Greater Buffalo area." Okay, next, without any more tangents, Blade of Cells. What does that do? I'll tell you. It's 2 mana for an artifact, and it equips for 4. Equipped creature has Myriad. It's in 5,100 decks. 1%, obviously. We said we'd stop saying it. $14.59. Oh boy, that's a little overpriced.
It is an overpriced considering it doesn't see much play. It's a weird one. It's one of those cards where it's like, if a card is $15, I would expect it to see a ton of EDH play. And if it's seeing a ton of EDH play, that would correlate to a lot of EDH decks being uploaded, which would correlate to the numbers going up on EDH Rec.
Yeah, the numbers would have to go up.
So yeah, when newer cards have more in the decks, that'll tend to mean that's more popular. But still, for only being in 5,000 decks, I wouldn't expect it to be $15.
I guess it's just an availability thing.
Yeah,
this card's it's overrated and underrated. I don't know. I wouldn't. It was so overrated when it came out, but now if you've got a bunch of creatures with ETBs, you can just throw this in your deck and it'll be pretty good. Especially if your commander has a sweet ETB.
I would love this in any Sakashima deck.
Maybe just an equipment deck too.
Oh, yeah, making like lots of Sakashimas going everywhere.
Oh yeah, make more of your commanders that don't go away. I mean, the Myriad goes away, but they'll get to attack. Yeah,
exactly. Next, we have Cloudstone Curio. 5,527 decks. $32.52. This card's been out a long time to only be in 5,000 decks.
This is a Nitpicking Nerds Hall of Famer, but we'll still read it.
3 mana for an artifact. Whenever a non-artifact permanent enters the battlefield, you may return another permanent you control to its owner's hand that shares the type with it. This is a combo piece. This card is really, really good, and it doesn't even necessarily need to be a combo piece. Like in Tulane, This card's just insane. If you have 2 1-drops, every one of your mana now becomes just keep going non-stop. Like that's not even like an infinite combo. It's just really strong.
There's too many infinite combos to name. Here's an easy one. There's the whenever you cast a creature spell, add a green to your mana pool. 2 mana dorks that cost 1 mana. Not even specific cards. It's just like stuff. Just goes infinite. If any creature costs 0, any other creature costs 0, you now get infinite bounces. And I do want to say, our audience is getting pretty big. So somewhere out there is a Magic player whose favorite card is Cloudstone Curio, and he has it in a bunch of different decks. And he owns a bunch of Cloudstone Curios, and his name is George, and they would call him Curios George. Somewhere, if your name is Curios George, let us know in the comments.
Cloudstone Curio George.
No, Curios George.
Curios George.
Yeah,
it sounds like they're saying bye to Cheerios.
George. Yeah, seriously, Cloudstone Curio is the best card on here. It's amazing.
Oh, our jokes are so bad sometimes.
It helps enable critical mass wins, for sure.
It definitely does. I think the next one is the most fun one on this list, not even close.
What is it?
It is Coveted Jewel, 2,402 decks, 47 cents. 6 mana artifact. When it enters the battlefield, you draw 3 cards. It taps for 3 mana. Whenever a player attacks you, if you don't block it, they gain control of the Coveted Jewel. They untap it and they draw 3. So this is like a super monarchy.
The super ultra mega monarchy. It's really only a 3 mana investment. You're really paying 3 mana to draw 3 cards. That's already pretty good. If you get it back once and then you can sacrifice it, or you just want to play politics and have fun with it, this card's amazing.
This card is super duper cool. My favorite thing, we put this in our Inez deck.
Oh, Inez that's silly.
You give it away with Inez, and then they can't block, and you take it back and draw 3.
Yeah, so you just draw 6.
It's super strong.
Net costs 0, and you drew 6.
Is
that good?
Is that card good? Yeah, I think it is. I think it's actually insanely good. I think this card's cool. I think it has way more homes than it's in. I think I might put it in Yuriko, because decks that can get it back are where it's really powerful, and Yuriko likes big drops.
Well, Yuriko's going to take it, they're going to play it, and then they're going to lose it, and then they're going to take it, and they're going to win the game. I feel like you don't really have to go too much past that.
Yeah, exactly. The card's really... I think this card is actually not only more fun than it's played, but also stronger than it's played. It is 6 mana.
It's better than it looks. It can be good. It's okay, how many decks is stupid Dreamstone Hedron in? Let's just 1-for-1 swap those, because this actually does a lot more.
This is a lot better than Dreamstone because you get the 3 cards right away. Yeah, other players get to get some cards too, but you're going to have you make sure your deck that you are playing and sat down with can get it back easily. If you have Slitherblade types of effects you're playing, probably really good in any Yuriko deck, in any
deck that can get the Monarchy. This is the same thing.
What's the guy?
Tokens, flyers,
something of Trust. I can't think of his name. Edric, yeah. Well, you already have all those dumb 1/1s in there. Wow. And not only that, they're incentivized to attack other players, so they lose advantage when they attack you. And if you have the jewel, they're gonna lose some. They're losing out on that one. I mean, I guess they're still getting the jewel, so that's fair.
Coveted Jewel's great. The next one, number 5, Cultivators Caravan. It's in 4,000 decks, 35 cents. 3 mana for a 5/5 artifact creature, but it's a vehicle, so it's not a creature until you crew it for 3, which means you tap creatures with total power 3 or greater, and then it becomes a 5/5 creature. It also taps for mana of any color, so it's a mana rock. But I love that if your deck is just like, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you all, you're a super aggro deck, they wipe the board, that's cool. You just play some dumb thing, play your commander again, and then boom, smack somebody for 5 right after.
So the main thing about this card is it's a bad mana rock. We know that 3 mana rocks aren't very good, especially ones that just are going to tap for a colored mana. But you add in, as soon as your commander needs a tap, this card's amazing. We're talking about Archelaus. We're talking about there's other ones. Hold on.
Calamax.
Calamax. We're talking about King Makar.
Yeah.
All those ones, they love. King Makar also gets in the car there.
King, get in the car.
King, get in.
It's King quotes, get in the car, Makar.
Oh my god, he's so cool.
It's a little niche, but I think this card, especially in budget, is just like super mega overperform. Once we're in budget, all right, I'll take a few 3 mana, like Commander Sphere and this become like the best 3 mana rocks.
It also attacks when you need it to. It's like, if you just want to hit for 5 with this big dumb beater that you played for 3, you get to.
How about stuff like Gulta? You crew a 3/3 into this. Now Gulta costs 8 less.
Ooh.
And then it taps for mana.
And
to play Gulta.
That's a good way to ramp out that Gulta real quick.
There's so much. I think, don't sleep on the Caravan. I think this is the best vehicle in for Commander. I don't know. I think it is. There's like no competition.
The best vehicle? Nah, I mean, to be fair, I think realistically, if you're trying to build like, if we're being like super like, we're going for like a deck down speed, I think Smuggler Copter's still really good.
Maybe.
As long as you have.
It's not like Smuggler Copter's a CDH card.
I don't know.
Doesn't really do anything.
Well, I think it's.
I do. It's not.
I think it. Well, I wasn't saying I don't know to that.
Oh, okay.
I was saying I don't know. It might be. I think that card's just so silly good all the time that it might just also be good in EDH.
I don't know. Well, anyway, I'm going to say Caravan's the best vehicle in EDH, and someone can prove me wrong in the comments. Heirloom Blade, 3 mana for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+1. It equips for 1. Whenever a equipped creature dies, you may reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card that shares a creature type with it. Put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This, I like to, I think of it in my head as fair tribal skull clamp.
It doesn't even have to be tribal per se. As long as you have like 2 or 3 of like types, this card's gonna be perfectly reasonable, especially if it overlaps with your commander now that commanders die.
Right, commanders are going to die. If you're like a human commander or an elemental or something that just a bunch of types have, and there's like 5 in your deck, and you care about having this equipment or an artifact or something or a power booster, this is sweet. It only equips for 1.
This would be good in like a Wylith deck. I mean, humans are everywhere.
Warrior.
Warriors are everywhere. Actually, warrior is ridiculous. I was just looking at all the warriors that ever existed. They just staple that on anywhere. It doesn't mean anything. But yeah, exactly. You're gonna have like 5, 6 humans or warriors in your deck. It doesn't even matter. You want him to be equipped with this. He dies. All of a sudden, you get some more value out of him, more than you got already.
Oh, is your creature a token? Then it just straight up trades a token for an actual card. You can't whiff. It doesn't like look at the top card if it's a human. It goes in your hand. It's just you find one, guaranteed. You can dig 90 cards deep and still get one.
The important part about this card is that it equips for 1.
And it gives 3 power. It's like a bunch of power for this. This thing's sweet.
The one equip. I think the like for real like the hidden text that makes this card so playable is that one.
Right.
It's like holy crap. I go like when you start equipping this for 2, it's like we probably wouldn't talk about this card honestly. You don't realize how big of a difference. I mean, at least maybe you do. I definitely have. I don't want to assume that they don't know anything. I definitely don't notice until I'm like playing with equipment how big of a difference like 1 and 2 is, or 3 to 2 is. It is like each jump is huge.
Like Blade of Selves equips for 4. If you get blown out, that's like your turn. You really got to make sure you find your spot to equip that. But this one doesn't matter. It's a throwaway thing. Now your creature is basically relevant. It's doing something.
Mm-hmm. As soon as you get this equipped, it only costs 1 mana, and you're gonna get something out of that creature unless it's exile. But we can't stop that. We can't worry about that.
What do you want from me? What do you want from me that I can't play around every card?
We can't do everything for you.
Heirloom Blade seriously is great. I think it's the most underrated one on here. It's basically in the fewest decks almost. And it's like one of the best cards.
Nope, I'm taking Coveted Jewel. Coveted Jewel.
Heirloom Blade is a card I need to put in more decks.
You haven't put it in anything yet.
I have to put it. I'm actually going to put it in our Precon Power Up.
Oh, cool.
I forgot about it, and then you were like, hey. I'm like, whoa.
Next, we have Perpetual Timepiece.
Oh, it's my pet card. I got to read it then.
Fine, read it.
It's in 6,300 decks. Those are okay, but we need to get those numbers up. And it's only 72 cents. It's 2 mana for an artifact. Tap, mill 2 cards. I think that actually is the Oracle text. Mm-hmm. And then 2, exile it, choose any number of cards in your graveyard, and then shuffle them into your library. So importantly, it doesn't have to tap to do this. So you can just forget about holding it up untapped. You just go, all right, at the end, you play it on turn 2 or whenever, wait till the end of the next player to your left's turn, tap, mill 2. Untap. If you have dredge cards, mill 2 on your upkeep, then maybe find a dredge. Then you can dredge instead of your draw, and then, it just protects your graveyard. This card's awesome.
This card's sweet. It's mill 2 every single turn. You know what decks want this. Your Arami decks, your Carador decks, your Marin decks. There's probably 48,262 more that I haven't.
Shire, Teneb.
Keep going.
We could probably go back forever.
Probably for at least 30 seconds.
No, that's generous. Okay. Anyway, this card's really good. I feel like it's one of the more known ones actually on this list, so we don't spend a ton of time on it. But if you want to mill it all, and you don't really mind too much that this isn't a creature, 100%, this card's awesome.
This card's also a budget bomb.
It's a budget bomb. It's a secret tech, and it's one of my pet cards.
It's a secret budget bomb. You have to whisper budget bomb.
No, I didn't say that. I said secret tech.
Budget bomb.
You said budget bomb.
No, we can't yell. Our friends have yelled at us.
Sorry.
We break their eardrums.
All right.
Number 8 is Walking Atlas. 2 mana for a 1/1. Tap it, put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. It's in 4,510 decks. $2. And this is awesome ramp for any like card draw deck. If you have a ton of extra cards going into your hand, you're going to build up lands in that hand. Because that's how it works. You can only play one a turn. And if you're constantly drawing cards, constantly refreshing your hand, being able to throw 1 or 2 extra, 3 extra, 4 extra, depending on how long it lasts. Because this thing definitely never draws a target. Like, literally, ever.
I've had it out. I have a mono blue. It's in an Emery deck where we're just drawing a bunch of cards. The deck isn't really artifact heavy, so it's a lot of card draw. And you just sit there and you draw cards in and stuff, and it's like, oh, it's just exploration. And you don't even notice. It's an artifact. I don't think it says that, but it's an artifact. Some of the copies don't say that. Artifact creature. So play it in the decks that care about artifacts. I think this is still good in green decks. If the problem when you're doing the land spellslinger flowy thing is you run out of mana only because you're restricted by the number of lands you can play. And there's like 10 versions of this, but this is the colorless one that goes in any deck. And it says, hey, another land untapped right now.
That's what it's all about, actually. The reason that it being colorless is super important to this card because we don't really need this in green.
Well, it's good in those Tatiova AC decks. Well, let me tell you what.
I mean, you don't really need it because you have like the 1 mana versions in that deck.
There are a couple 1 mana versions. This is about as good as those anyway.
Yeah, I'm saying like usually you don't need it too much in green decks because you have other ways to get lands in play. There's lots of other stuff.
And non-budget especially.
But as soon as you start like you having a strong card draw deck in blue, black,
blue red, blue white.
Yeah, pretty much anything any blue deck that's heavy on card draw and doesn't have green, I love this card 100%. Has it been reprinted? Is there versions that say it's an artifact?
It might have been in a dual deck or something.
Let's check.
But it's not reprinted much because the price is starting to hike up.
Yeah, it literally has no other printing. So if you buy this card, though all versions are artifacts, none of them say they're artifacts.
Right. Just be careful. It barely matters. It's clearly an artifact. It looks like an artifact. Next is 2. It's number 9 and 10. They're Mistress Bauble and Urza's Bauble. We will give you the numbers separately, but it doesn't really matter. $4,500 for Mistress Bauble, $2. Urza's Bauble's $3,400, and it's $2.71. They're both 0 mana artifacts. Mistress Bauble sacks. Look at the top card of target player's library. Then you draw a card at the next upkeep. Don't forget your trigger. Urza's Bauble sacks to draw a card the same way, except you, instead of looking at the top card, you look at a random card in someone's hand.
I revealed the same card 3 times in the row to BZ.
That's true. These cards are just going up and up for me. The more I play, the more I realize they're just air. They're complete air, and if you have any triggers or synergy or ways to take advantage of them, they're amazing.
Yeah, exactly. This is one like your Joyber decks, your Emery decks, anything that cares about artifacts. There's 1.5 million commanders. You could list them for ages. There's so many commanders that care about it. It also becomes like this weird like ritual in your Urza deck. Weird, but it's still super strong because not only is it a ritual, it's also a cantrip.
Things like if you have any effects, even just in your deck, like Psy, Master Thopterist, Mirrodin Besiege, where whenever you cast an artifact, you get a small bonus. If this just makes a 1/1 and then just draws a card and doesn't cost you any time or mana, that's great. That's really good. It's like Gitaxian Probe levels, where as soon as you care, even a tiny bit about having a sorcery, Gitaxian Probe's amazing.
This is this card, yeah, it's like Gitaxian Probe or another secret deck card that we talked about before, Street Wraith. Same thing. As soon as it's not just air, like right in most decks, if you just throw a Mistress Bubble, it's just air, and like you don't really want just air. But as soon as you add, it's just a little bit of advantage from that air. Woo, suddenly you're just like, well, now I want air.
And now it just feels like you're cheating because you're just some of your turns are gonna be like spell, free spell, trigger, replace the spell that I just cast. Like that's crazy.
These kind of cards are the reason I think that in my opinion, we have to keep the Flippy Guy banned because there's so many of these.
Arayo, there's only going to be more.
Yeah, there's so many free spells. Like, and Arayo just gets more and more annoying the more they print.
We'll see. And by that, I mean, we'll never see. We could never possibly be in charge of that.
No.
I wouldn't even accept it if they said right now. Endless Atlas is the last entry. It is 2 mana for an artifact. You pay 2, tap, draw a card. But you can only activate this if you have 3 or more lands with the same name, which have to be basics. 6,900 decks, 2%. And it's $1.72. This is the most played card so far.
I don't like this card personally. Well, I'm going to let BZ go off on why he likes it because that's more important. And he'll explain why it's secret deck.
Right. I think this helps you with card draw in the decks that kind of stink at it, which is red, white, and Boros. If you're in those decks and you're starving for card draw, and it might matter that this is an artifact or not, or you can untap it or whatever else, yeah, I think I would play it. There's a difference between that we hate Phyrexian Arena in black, and that I'm saying play worse Phyrexian Arena in not black, because you have to compare what else can you do. And white's getting a little bit better with ramp, not too better with card draw though. So I think eventually I'll maybe stop playing Endless Atlas, but for now, I think it's still one of the better options.
I'm just not a big fan of this card. It makes you, it affects deck building. It makes you have to play more basics than you might want to per se. On top of that, it's so slow in my mind. And maybe this is something, because I haven't played it. Because maybe it's because when I look at it on paper, I just don't see it. Actually, you know what? No, that's a false. I have played it. I played it in Torbrand. When I played Torbrand for a couple weeks.
How'd it go?
I didn't like it.
So yeah, that deck's an aggro deck though. I don't know why you would. I don't think I would play this in that deck. That deck's trying to win the game on turn 7.
That's
I think
fair.
if you're ready to just build your board and just sit there, this is more of a late game card. I'm not dying to activate this on turn 4. That feels pretty bad to do. So you can kind of just wait. It does get the card back right away, unlike stupid Phyrexian Arena. So there is that.
I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of this card.
I would play it.
He's on the board with it. I'm saying try it for yourself. Tell us what you think.
Yeah.
But that's our video. Special shout outs to all of our patrons. So many patrons. You guys are awesome. You're rolling on the screen on the card. Rolling and scrolling. If I put my hand here, it's behind the card. Yeah, so it's useless.
You have successfully reached the goal of 100 patrons. We're over that now. We'll have to think of some other goal for 150 or 200 down the pipeline. But we're still working on Chance for Glory. We got to get the episode 1 out. We're basically just waiting at this point for everything to come together so we can do our test run. Then we'll message the 3 people we have lined up for episode 1, and then we'll say, let's go.
Mic. Then we'll say stop hitting your mic. But actually, why not just tell them what step we're on? We've talked to a lot of the people we want to have on the show. We're past that step. Not
to the guest reveal step yet.
Yeah, we're not going to reveal guests yet. Not until we have the first episode planned. Then we can start revealing guests.
Yeah.
But what we're waiting for right now is aesthetics. We made a logo for Chance for Glory. We got that done. And we're working on the aesthetics of what it's going to look like on the screen. We're trying to make it, we want this to be visually appealing. We want this to look as good as possible. We don't want to just be sitting there in I don't know how to explain.
We don't want PowerPoint vibes.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want this to feel PowerPoint. I want this to feel like an awesome presentation where you feel like it's a game show, even though we're not going to be the same location because of COVID.
And because we could never possibly meet up with the people we plan on meeting up with.
I could.
They all literally different continents. We don't share, it doesn't matter. We want it to be, remember the high school Jeopardy games you play for quizzes? Mm-hmm. I don't want it to feel like that. I want it to feel like a production, and you get to watch something that's whoa, this is really cool.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun. And I'm so, I can't even explain how excited I am.
I'm this excited.
Dang.
If that doesn't cover it, I don't know what does.
Dang. I was going to say I was this excited.
Up here.
Dang. That's crazy. TCG
Dwarfed
player
your
link.
Stupid excitement.
TCG player link in the description below. BZ hasn't even shouted out yet because he's failing at his job. I just did. If you want to buy anything on TCG player, use our link in the description. It supports the channel and we appreciate it. How much? This much. Even higher than his excitement.
This much.
BZ. Dang.
Just all over the place with appreciation.
All right. Tidbit about our life. Anything?
Right now?
Yeah. What's going on in your life?
Nothing. Nothing's going on in my life. There's nothing new. I feel like we've done everything with tidbits.
I don't know. Tell them something. What happened today? What's happening tomorrow? What are you up to?
What's happening tomorrow is I have off from work. What's happening is I can't wait to quit my job and do YouTube full time. That's what we're looking for.
Yep. I am doing it full time, and it's been fun. It's work. It's a lot of work, but I love it.
I was doing the pre-con power-ups. I was just doing it this morning because I'm like, all right, I have a couple minutes to chill. What would I most want to do? Oh, work on YouTube. It was just fun to do.
The real question is, what is C? Because not only are we working on Banana Split, I've also begun work on something cheesecake. You want it to be cheesecake?
Well, cheesecake.
Cheesecake. I began work on, we're working on Banana Split and cheesecake.
If you don't know, because that sounds like nonsense, our big projects, like the best commander card in each set, are all named after desserts.
Yes. So we're working
they're code named desserts.
We're working on our next 2, Banana Split and cheesecake.
Yeah, Banana Split is 5% done. Is officially 5% done.
Cheesecake is like it's infantile.
It's infantile. It's been conceived. We're past conception.
It's infantile, and I put like 15 hours into it. But it's infantile. Woohoo! I love this job so much. It's definitely never been a complaint. When I say how many hours I work, it's only because it's
silly.
I love this. Oh god, we gotta leave though.
We're done.
If we don't leave,
we're just rambling about something.
He's gonna be late to eat food. Peace out, Trap Scout.
Finger guns.
No.